The AI world is so interesting that at some level, I think it is good that Anthropic and OpenAI are going public as soon as possible. You may have seen that Anthropic just filed confidentially their S1. I think that we may be starting to see a trough of disillusionment for AI in the next few months. I know it's pretty early to call that, but there are a few news that I heard in the last 1 to 2 weeks that is starting to point in that direction. One is that the first one that I heard was Microsoft confirmed that they have pulled out Cloud Code licenses across, many of their divisions. And engineers were basically pushed to GitHub Copilot, right? The cost of running Cloud Code was just becoming too much for Microsoft, which was the first one. Then Uber followed up by saying that the whole of the budget for 2026 is done by May of the year, and they were on an average burning $2,000 or $3,000 or something like that in the token cost per dev. And now they have introduced a capping of, I think it is $1,500 a month for Cloud Code. The more interesting thing about Uber was that the COO said that it's very hard to draw an efficiency line that correspondingly goes between the token, basically the spending, and the efficiency of new features that are going out. So Uber couldn't tie it to efficiency. Not saying there is no efficiency, it's not being able to tie it directly to efficiency. By the way, a small company like us, Docket, right? We looked at our spending, and our spending was actually becoming very high, that we did a bunch of trimming last month ourselves because we wanted to make sure that we are using tokens in the right way. A lot of companies that are doing token maxing, now people are like, yeah, token maxing is such a bad way to assess the whole thing. Then today morning, I read that DeepSeek, not DeepSeek, but Lindy, a company, Lindy was using Anthropic, but they are moving to DeepSeek instead of Anthropic. Obviously, Lindy is like this tool that does an agent that does a bunch of things, and you need something like a Claude models to be really good. But then they're going to DeepSeek. It just means one thing, that Opus is just too expensive for them to use. One thing that I've always believed is, as the models become like really good and start to play it out a little bit, the moment when the optimization needs to happen, a lot of the companies are just going to say, you know what, I'm going to optimize by going into like an open source model, right? Has the open source models become so good so far? Not really. There are some open source models, but open source is like 6 months behind or something like that. So it's too early to call it, but I believe that we may be starting to see a little bit of a trough of disillusionment. Gartner had called 2026 as the year. Maybe it is 2027, because I think both of these IPOs, both from Anthropic and OpenAI, both of them are going to be like really amazing IPOs. And now they are trying to figure out who goes out first, because whoever goes first is going to capture a ton of attention from retail investors. So it's like it's an interesting time for, if you are planning based on how the market is going for the rest of the year. Probably we are going to see an amazing market, and because of the IPOs and all. But there is also a chance that the market will start dipping a little bit as companies are starting to do two things. One, control the spending because it is getting a little bit too much. Secondly, they are going to ask specifically for, hey, enough with the POCs. Now let's talk about ROI. And then people are going to ask more questions about it. So if you are a vendor building in the AI space, time to focus on your ROI, time to make sure that your Gen UI dashboards are reflecting the right things for your customers. And if you're a big enterprise buyer, then you are probably right in asking for ROI, at least right now. Interesting world we live in. What do you think?